This is Metabolic Radio, the podcast dedicated to keeping you informed when it comes to everything fitness. My name is Taylor Empey, and with the help of my co-host Shane Pace, we aim to expose the truths about the health and fitness industry. The information and suggestions given in this podcast should not be considered as clinical or medical advice. Consult with a physician before implementing any information provided on this podcast. Okay.
And we're off.
I didn't think you were going to do a voice. So today...
How will I speak if I don't have a voice?
No, you know what I'm saying.
I know exactly what you're saying. I didn't think you'd have a voice. Strange. A lot quieter than I expected. We're going to mime this episode.
Today, we're going to talk about body image.
Let's talk about movie prices.
Just because the movie theater is in your view right now?
No, I was just thinking about... who is that? Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah.
Talking about Karl Malone. He does a skit.
Yeah.
With Karl Malone back when Karl was still playing.
Uh-huh.
And that was one of the things he did was, today we're going to talk about movie price.
Oh.
Movie price go up and up and never once go down. Anyway.
Well, anyway. Since that's relevant.
As we digress.
Body image.
That really doesn't correlate with what we were talking about.
Not at all. Not at
Totally
all.
different direction.
The reason I want to talk about this is because I see it all the time. Because when a client comes to me, it's 9 times out of 10, it's about looks. And not that's necessarily a bad thing, but I want to dissect it. But it's always about them being dissatisfied with the way they look as the priority, 9 times out of 10. They can still have health-related goals. I categorize goals by this: physique or visual body image goal.
Fair.
Health.
That is the biggest one probably.
Health and then performance. Now they're all interrelated and complement each other, but I think they're different focuses.
They are.
You're either focusing on increasing your performance, and that I would include in that like feeling better, and maybe that would be kind of translated into health. Health would be like changing your health markers, getting into a lower BMI, lower body fat percentage, decreasing risk of like health risks and diabetes and things like that. And then physique is obviously all oriented around looks. But the thing is, the majority of people that come to me want help with because they have they're not satisfied with their self-image or their body image. And so
in your bullets, I do not recognize one of those terms, so I will be looking that up as we speak.
One of those terms, really?
Continue on.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about.
I'm sure you do.
Okay, so I have kind of like some bullet points that I wanted to share. But basically, it's pretty apparent, in my opinion, and in research, actually, there's research to support this, that discrimination based off of body type is one of the last remaining socially acceptable forms of discrimination against other people.
I am so wanting to bash on a company.
What?
And this...
A company?
Yeah. And this is perfect.
Yeah?
We're going to be bashing on a fitness organization.
Oh, okay, cool.
Or at least we being the royal we. At least I will be bashing on, and I will use the name now. It's Planet Fitness. I will bash Planet Fitness.
Well, let's not slander them, but we'll
I didn't
talk
say
about...
slander!
Bashing gets awful close.
No.
But we will talk
Dude,
about
the
the actual implications of how that affects what we're talking about. But I'm going to repeat that one more time because I believe this statement to be true, and there's research to support this, and I think it's a common sense. It's common sense, but you don't think about it.
That makes sense.
Body type is one of the last socially acceptable forms of discrimination against other people. And I think, with how things have gone politically over the last 100 years, there's been a lot of different forms of this with race and skin color and sexual orientation and things like that. And I think body image is right along some of those levels.
More.
Because think about it. How common is it that in schools or walking down the street or even just something you say to yourself when you see someone who is a body type that you think is disfavorable? How often do you judge them, or how often do you see them discriminated against in public?
Every body type.
And people laugh about it.
Every body type has a reaction.
Yep.
Every body type.
No, I agree with you.
Good or bad, all have a reaction.
Well, because people walk down the street and they see a bodybuilder or someone who is using anabolics, and they're like, ugh, what a meathead.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
It's automatic.
That guy could have a PhD and you wouldn't even know it, but you label him because he's a quote-unquote gym rat or whatever. Or you walk down the street and you see a really thin body type person who maybe doesn't work out or doesn't lift weights and is very, very thin, 100-pound girl, and you're like, oh, she's anorexic.
Yep.
She's got a problem. Or, what's very common is you walk down the street and you see a very large or clinically obese person, and you're like,
say chubba bubba.
Disgusting.
No, you say chubba bubba.
Or, no, I've seriously heard people go, ew.
No,
I've heard that before.
and I've heard that with every body type too. Like I said, the reaction isn't necessarily the problem. It's the fact that we. Okay, let me say some stuff because I agree with where you're going with this, and I'm going to sidetrack and make it sound like I'm arguing with you, and I'm not.
No, you're good.
But the problem I've got when you start talking race, sexual orientation, religion, political views, body aspects, is we are so hypersensitive as a community. It's ridiculous. And I think it's ridiculous that you can't say anything anymore about anybody.
I agree what you're saying because I recognize that
I know
the pendulum is swinging, but there's still the issue still needs to be addressed.
Oh, no, it's legit. I'm not saying it's not legit. I'm just saying I just think that we are so hypersensitive. See, like I said, growing up when I did, you didn't have to be afraid of every blasted thing that came out of your mouth coming back and biting.
About being politically incorrect.
Yeah, and that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. People are so hypersensitive about everything. Get over yourselves. When you talk body image, I think that on a personal note. Okay, my personal opinion on body imaging is it should be based on you should feel good about where you're at. Period. Mm-hmm. And if you don't feel good about
like this, then
that's what I was just kind of looking at it. But the reality is, it doesn't matter if you're heavy, light, or
in between.
Or in between. It comes down to if you feel good about yourself and you're healthy internally. Who cares?
Exactly.
And who cares what other people's opinions are? That's why, in my opinion, somebody could say anything about anybody. Race, religion, doesn't matter. Political views. And it shouldn't matter and it shouldn't be taken offensively every stinking step of the word. Now, they say it in a certain way. I get it. They're attacking.
Yeah.
But that's ridiculous.
Think of it this way.
I just think this is ridiculous.
Now, this is super radical, but it's just an example.
No, go for it.
Say someone beats someone up specifically because they are disgusted by heavy people.
Which is ridiculous.
Which I think should be considered a hate crime.
It is a hate crime.
Targeting someone based off of a specific demographic.
It is a hate crime.
But
no matter how you look at it.
But there's no precedent for it.
I get that. And I get that. Like
that I've seen at least.
And I get. Like I said, I'm not contradicting what you're saying. I think as a society, as a worldwide society, but especially in the United States, we become so hypersensitive that if anybody says anything, you got to watch what you're saying.
And I agree with you.
Stupid.
I agree with you.
You can't even share ideas anymore when you get to that level.
Yeah, because you're so worried about the fact that you're going to say something wrong or offend somebody.
Yep.
And I agree. I think two things. One, I think this is still an issue that needs to be addressed.
Mm-hmm.
So there still needs to be some sensitivity around it. But you are right in that there's some shifts happening in our country right now and over the last few decades that are causing us to be more hypersensitive to issues like this. Mm-hmm. And to where you're right, and that we have to be very tiptoeish because we're on eggshells with anything that we say, because there's this pendulum is swinging in a very more open-minded direction to where we're kind of becoming more understanding of different demographics and different perspectives and things like that. And we're trying to get along, but we might be, doing that in, like you say, maybe a too hypersensitive of a manner.
Well,
or people, it could be two other things. It could be insecurity, and it could also be just, do people need a thicker skin? I think
people need a thicker skin.
Yeah. So where's that balance? Do you think?
I think people. Well, if there's any physical damage being done to anybody, that's ridiculously wrong.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Yeah.
And I'm going to say that saying whatever you're going to say, hurting feelings, like I said, people have feelings. I get it. We're not trying to stomp on people in the world, and you shouldn't. Okay, nobody should do that. But the reality is other people aren't going to like me, you, dude down the street.
For various reasons.
For various reasons. And who cares? I don't live my life in a line where I'm supposed to be liked by everybody. I mean, I prefer it. I prefer to be friends with everybody. I like to be friends with people. But the reality is who stinking cares what they think? I could care less what ultimately they think about
One
me.
thing to think about, though, too, is we're coming from our own personal experience.
Agreed. And that's
we
true.
haven't been in the shoes of a demographic that's been discriminated against. So
I have.
I mean, well, in this specific context. But I have two.
And I get where you're coming from.
I have two in other ways, that we've talked about before.
Right.
But that we're not going to get into now. But,
no, for sure.
But
well, considering the room we're in, this is kind of a humorous conversation.
That's actually true.
Yeah.
But so you have to still consider, yes, do I think people need thicker skin? Yeah. Is it really hard under certain circumstances to develop that when you really feel that you're being treated unjustly? That's hard.
That's personal. That's personal. It's a personal thing. Okay. And I get that people have a need for validation. Mm-hmm. And we're,
acceptance
and acceptance. We are gregarious, is the nature of the human race, which means we like to herd, if you will.
Yeah, tribal beings.
We like to be in groups, and that's pretty much everybody. But the reality is, that being said, when okay, I'm going to go right into Planet Fitness right now. Let's do it. This is the reason why I have a massive issue with places, not people. This is not a people thing. This is an organizational thing. I have a massive issue when they say that it's a non-judgment zone, but then they start talking about meatheads.
Except the business model is based off of discrimination against a different type of person.
100%. Yeah. 100%. They're discriminating against guys that lift weights. They're discriminating against somebody who is pushing to be in a more fit look.
People who are more aggressive about how they approach fitness.
Absolutely. And I think that is ridiculous. The fact that They want to ban things like deadlifting when it is such a good, beneficial thing.
The most foundational exercises, as we've talked about.
Absolutely. Yeah, right. It is so good for you to do it, and you do it right. Okay, and I'll give you an example, another example that stems off the same place. So my friend's wife saw someone working out with a weight that he could barely move 2 inches without struggling with it. It was way over the weight ratio that he had. Well, when she approached him, he got offended and said, "I thought this is supposed to be a non-judgmental zone." That is ridiculous to me.
Planet Fitness?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And then he went to the front desk and they got in trouble.
Wow. That's interesting.
This is the most ridiculous organization to me that there is. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Planet Fitness isn't doing something good for people, because
they do provide a place where people can
and they give.
And I have clients that work out there.
Yes, and do I think it's the greatest gym in the world? No. Do I think it's fairly clean? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do they have good things about them? Yeah. But I have a massive issue when they say that they're a non-judgment zone when they're one of the largest judgment zones that there is in the fitness world.
Well, the fact that, like you said, they claim that they're not that they're a non-judgment zone, and it's hypocritical based off that. It's apparent in their marketing. Just look at their advertisements.
Absolutely.
And then they have things like pizza and Tootsie Roll Tuesdays or whatever it is, where I can see what they're trying to do, but they're going about it in all the wrong ways, in my opinion. And they remove key pieces of equipment from their gym so that you don't have access to equipment that would allow you to get more effective results.
Absolutely.
And
which is okay.
I think the whole business model.
I'm okay with the business model. See,
no. I think I'm not okay with it. The whole business model is based off of around exploiting the ignorant person,
and I agree with that,
who wants to get in shape but doesn't know how, and they exploit their insecurities.
Yes.
And they get them in on a low barrier membership so that they don't stop paying. And I'm being very speculative here. I understand that.
I agree with that.
But they get them in on a low barrier a monthly fee, so they continue to pay because it's not enough that they want to cancel it.
Yeah.
But it's just enough that they can keep making money, and they have thousands of members probably for every location.
Right.
They keep paying that either that may not go. I bet there's a large percentage of people that do not go, and I've worked in gyms, so I know there are big chunks of members that do not attend the gym but keep paying their membership dues.
That's partly why they do the cost breakdown. They did.
But think about it. Why can a health center who is supposed to provide a service to make people healthier and get them in shape, promoting poor eating and discouraging you from aggressively pursuing your health goals and your fitness goals?
Right.
I think it's exploiting people, and it upsets me.
Well, it's false marketing. My problem is the false marketing is unbelievable because, like I said, is it based on a stereotypical attack? You bet it is. And do they ban people because of having a...
it is discriminatory
absolutely.
in its nature, yeah.
Yeah, the whole basis of it is. I'm not saying that there's not other gyms and stuff that do that, but I'm going to tell you that the whole premise behind Planet Fitness is absolutely against specific a certain demographic.
Yeah.
100%. And so... Are they a non-judgment zone? No, they're a highly judgment zone.
Yeah.
And that bothers me, And like I said, I'm not going to attack them.
And that's just the other end, a swinging end of the pendulum.
Yes.
Because what we're talking about, body image, where people discriminate against out of shape individuals or people of just different kinds of body types.
Absolutely.
And they're discriminating against fitness oriented individuals.
Right. That's the reason why I wanted to get into this with and drop their name specifically because I don't feel like I'm attacking them in an incorrect way because this is stuff that they put out there publicly.
Yeah. And again, I do want to preface and say that it is speculative. But at the end, our assessment of the business model and things like that, because we do want to do that to protect ourselves. But at the same time,
what you're saying, but
I very much disagree, and I think all our points are valid.
Well, and I'm going to say that what I'm saying isn't speculation. It's based on exactly what the evidence that they're putting out themselves. It's based on their marketing. Okay,
that's the perception we get from their marketing.
It's what this is what their marketing states. So I don't feel bad about saying that. Now, granted, when we go into speculation on their business model, that's
things that I said.
Right. I agree with that. But the reality is, like I said, do I have a problem with their business model? Not necessarily because they're going after demographics that they want to get that they want to come into their business. I get that. I look at it from a perspective.
But it's a matter of. It's a matter of ethics and how it's executed.
That's why I don't like their marketing. When you go back and you talk about when we talk about supplements and we talked about specific supplements being I probably wouldn't get this one, but you know what? They market it exactly like it says that it is.
Yeah.
I like that. I have a lot of respect for that. I can't even say I have any. I have zero respect when somebody claims to be something like a non-judgment zone. Like I said, that is a quote from what they put up.
That's their slogan.
Right. So
the judgment-free zone, right?
The judgment-free zone, something like that. Right. So when they say that to me means that they can't judge other people at all.
Yeah.
And that's not what they're doing. I have a massive problem with that. When you talk body imaging, my problem with the aspects of this is you're going to have different people not like you.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying
you can't please everyone.
You can't please everybody. Somebody's in good shape. Oh, he's on steroids. That guy must live in the gym. I would never want to do that. He
probably has no life. Yeah.
He probably has no life. He doesn't do anything else. Is it true? It might not be. It may be true. He may have a PhD. You never know.
Yeah.
And the reality is that's not your business. When this
you don't have and that's the thing is everyone's going to live a different lifestyle. And not everyone has to agree with it. You know what I mean? But
and that's again, like you were saying. My opinion is, there's things that people do, and I'm going to tell them. I may tell them straight up, I don't like that. I don't agree with that. That's not how I would do things. But the reality is, it doesn't mean I'm going to beat up on them. I'm not going to do that.
It's not necessarily discriminatory. You're just stating your position.
Yes, and it's because I'm very vocal. I'll do that. And I'll also tell them it doesn't change that I'm still friends with you. I'll be ludicrous in this, but you like to go to McDonald's and I want to go to Wendy's. I'm not going to hate you for going to McDonald's. I just may not go to McDonald's.
That's funny.
You know what I mean?
No, I get you. Yeah.
And that's just this topic, even though it isn't a hot spot for me, it brings out some stuff that I have a hot topic issue with. I have real issues. The thing that I want, and I'm going to put this out to everybody. You know, Taylor and I are more or less talking to each other, but everybody that's listening to this, anybody who hears what I'm saying, my opinion is you've got to come to terms with yourself.
Yes.
If you can't come to terms with yourself, because me being offended because somebody else said something, that's my problem. That isn't their problem. If they're attacking me, that's their problem as well, and I will definitely affect that.
It comes down to the personal development concept that you're responsible for your own life experience.
Absolutely.
Including how you react to external influence.
Absolutely.
Even though this influence is acting upon you involuntarily, you're still responsible for how you react.
Right. And I believe that completely. I mean, I'm gonna jump into some of these because I'm reading them.
Well, I think we should jump into Hayes' method.
I'm not going to go to that
based
yet.
off what you just said, though.
No, I get it. Well, let me get to that because I'm mentally focused on gender roles right now. So here's another problem I've got with this. When you start people talking about sexist ideas, you know, I physically cannot have a baby. Okay, that is a 100% impossibility right now. I'm not saying that they couldn't scientifically do it, but I have to literally be altered to be able to have a baby.
Yeah.
Okay. And right now we cannot do that as far as my understanding is. So my problem with gender rolling, is there a difference in genders? Absolutely. Does that make one gender better than another gender? No, but we have different roles.
I think that should, well, it depends on what you define as the role. Because gender roles is depending on a person's perspective of what each gender ought to do or how they ought to behave.
That's not even what I'm talking about, but I agree with what you're saying.
So what are you talking about then?
Well, I'm just saying that there's roles that I can't do and there's roles that they can't do.
We're on a scientific, physiological level. But when I say, like, you're a man, you ought to behave, look, and act this way.
I think there's some truth to it, though. So let's take some examples of why I say that, okay? By nature, males are stronger than females.
Yes.
By nature they are, okay? On the average. I'm not going to say there's not women out there that are strong as all get out, but I'm going to tell you.
Hormone profile is designed in a way that makes them
and absolutely
generally.
right. Right. So does that make them more defenders? Without question. Physiologically, they are geared towards defense.
Yeah.
Okay, so does that give them a role automatically? Absolutely. Is it something that has to be? No, but I'm telling you.
But see, you're talking about naturally defined roles that can't change.
Yes, but
I'm talking about the gender roles that are placed upon men or women from the same and opposite genders.
Right.
So, for example, the gender role that women place on themselves and the media places on women.
I agree with that.
And that the roles that women place on men and vice versa in all categories.
I agree with that. And I agree with that. And like I said, when I was looking at it, because I was looking down your list, and when I saw that, the reason why I want to touch on this is because my problem with this is a lot of roles because people look in society and they start saying, well, you're a sexist because of this, this, and this. I'm not a sexist, okay? Would I like to be able to have my wife be able to not work? Yeah. We can't financially afford to do that. Mm-hmm. But would I like to? Absolutely. I think that she would prefer that as a potential option. Okay? Not because I think that I'm better at it, but that's a role that I can understand that we both go towards. Okay.
And that's the thing is you're looking at it as options, not what you expect ought to be the case.
Right, and I agree with that.
You don't look at your wife and say you ought to stay home
because that's
you're
ridiculous.
A woman. You're saying if because I know she might like to do that, I'm going to try to create a situation where that's
absolutely,
possible.
And I believe that completely. I mean, and let's when you talk certain jobs, because that's part of this gender role concept, men are going to be better at a job where they're lifting. Okay, where they're lifting and moving things around, men are naturally going to be better at it because their physical reactions and being able to move things easier because of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So is there potential roles that come into society because of that? Yes. People are so stinking short-sighted in how they look at this stuff and so easily offended that bugs me. That's why right now this has kind of set me off a little bit. I'm really irritated with places like Planet Fitness because of the way they throw that stuff out there and they act like they're not doing that. Mm-hmm. That bugs me. I hate the fact that because I'm trying to think of a good example that I'm not going to throw out an offensive line. I mean, because I may have a friend that's overweight and we may joke about them being fat, back and forth, I could offend somebody else in the group. That's ridiculous to me. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's why I hate this the really thin skin that has become predominant, especially in the United States. We need to be able to work together. We need to be able to get better, but we have to be able to say things and not be afraid to talk.
Yeah,
it's just, I think this stuff is getting ridiculous.
I agree with you to an extent, but I do think we need to recognize that it's still the issues that people take more sensitively than you think they should are still issues.
And I agree with that.
And that's the issue.
And I agree with that, dude. Don't get me wrong.
No, and I know you're just very strongly opinionated about that particular thing. It
just irritates me. That's one thing that just bugs me to no end. So I voiced it. We'll move to the next part of this. Good. I'm just not quiet about stuff, so I have to voice.
No, you're fine. One of the other things I wanted to talk about was how the media shapes. We can talk about how it relates with gender roles.
No, you
how
can
the
go.
Media
Go however you need to go.
And influences our perception of what men and women should look like.
I agree with that. That's a fair thing.
It's rampant. Instagram is blowing up with these quote unquote fitness gurus and fitness celebrities. You have tons of fitness magazines. You have other. I don't want to necessarily name names because there's just so many that do it. But
well, and there's a lot that are under attack right now from many different directions too.
Yeah, it's things like weight loss that is used so commonly, or how supplements are portrayed with celebrity endorsements on certain television shows, and how
you hit another topic that bugs the crap out of me.
How the news covers things like weight loss, and I've seen a little bit because I've experienced some of the back end, the behind the scenes with certain news mediums, and so I know some of the things that go on. I just think that the way that the media portrays how men and women ought to look is a huge contributor to people's poor body image. Now, yes, we can make the argument that people need to have thicker skin and filter what input they see from the media and things like that.
There's extreme, because even verbally there's attacking. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not necessarily only physical, and I get that too, and I want to make sure that's clearly put out there, because I'm putting myself out a lot in this episode, so I really want that to be understood, because I don't attack people, I don't make fun of people very often. I'm very conscientious, because I don't think it's the right thing to do. You know, if I'm jabbing somebody, it's usually because I'm friends with them. I don't make fun of people that I don't know to them ever. Mm-hmm. That's just not who I am, and I almost never jab my friends in a bad way.
Well, and regardless of how you're interacting, if that's your culture, if you got, like, I have friends that we are borderline, we basically bully each other, but that's our culture, and we have declared that it's acceptable.
It's a safe zone.
Yeah.
And I know that. And that's what I'm saying, is I think that we as a society, we are so thin-skinned that no one can say anything in front of anybody else. Mm-hmm. When you start going on a legality note on workplace, HR type issues, it doesn't matter if the person in front of you is accepting it, because everybody in the room has to accept it.
True.
If they don't, it's an HR issue.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous to me. That's ridiculous to me. If your friends and you are bullying each other, and I don't have I have a massive problem with it, that's almost against the law anymore.
It's kind of like I don't know if this is a good analogy or not, but like I believe, and I could be wrong, but I heard something about how the state of California, if two people consent and engage in a physical altercation, like a fight, mm-hmm. then it's they don't have to be charged or something like that. I could be totally wrong with that. I don't even know.
No, but that's their assault.
But it's not an issue that other parties can address. It's just between them.
That's physical. So when you start talking about somebody who's joking with somebody else and they're really good friends, and this other person gets offended, it is harassment, mm-hmm. and that's a third party. And that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I understand.
That's why I say these issues are to me are things that are so thin skin based that as a society we need to thicken up a little bit. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that we need to look at things and be fair and good to each other. Okay, and we need to treat each other in the right way and have respect for each other. But the problem is people are so thin skinned about stuff that it's hard to do anything without stepping on toes, and that's stupid. That makes an absolutely ridiculous society that there's no advancements because everybody's stepping back and not making
I think
progressive moves.
I think kind of the way to sum up what you're saying is that people need to learn to be a little bit more objective and step back a little bit and observe situations for what they are and not let their emotions get in the way of those types of situations.
That's probably the nice way to say it, because I still want to use the word hypersensitive, but yes.
No, yeah, I think that there probably is there's evidence of that, but I think we've kind of drilled that point.
No, for sure. And I mean, it still falls into the same thing when you start talking some of the stuff on your list with sexually appealing. What is sexy? What do people find attractive?
So let's talk about sex appeal and what really is sexy. I mean, sexy is like a term that's could pretty much be synonymous in a way is related to beauty, which is subjective.
It's subjective completely.
But it's everywhere, It
is for sure.
It is for video games.
It is for sure.
It's on mainstream commercials. It's in product marketing. It's on the internet. But what it does is, now I get it, because people will be like, well, that person or that model or whatever, they chose to do that and whatever. But the way that certain mediums filter that and the way that they portray certain things, it subconsciously bombards people in society and gives them this kind of subconscious expectation of what men and women ought to look like.
Oh, I agree with that.
And I know this because I've experienced a change in my own body image since I started doing personal training.
Which makes sense.
And there are body image issues with men. They won't talk about it nearly as much, and it probably still is a bigger issue, I think, with women that we've seen. But and I could be wrong on that. But I'm going to say that before I started getting into fitness, I didn't care at all what I looked like. I was confident. I didn't care what I looked like. I didn't care to be... I mean, maybe that's just because I was a thinner body type. Maybe if I had been heavy, I don't know, maybe I'd have a different opinion. But when I got into fitness, I noticed about 2 years ago, I started having a little bit more unhealthy focus on my own body image, and because of what is put out there about how the way that men should look. I'm a naturally thin guy. Yep. I'm 5'10", but I have a wingspan of 6'2", which is atypical. I have very long limbs. I'm not going to have as much of big, bulky muscle fibers. It's harder for me to keep weight on. Yep. And as you can see, the way that I'm talking about how I focus on my fitness, I have a little bit of body image issue because I look in the mirror and I say, man, I just wish I could be bigger. I wish I could have more muscle. I wish I could have bigger abs. I wish I were stronger. And it's because of the expectations that are placed on men through media and other avenues of how they ought to look. And I've noticed an unhealthy change in my own psychology. Do you not think that's the biggest problem in every gym? In my opinion, I don't care what one. I don't even care if it's Planet Fitness. Every gym, if you go in there and you work out, most people are in there because they have body image issues. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying is 9 out of 10 clients that come to me for body image issues. Probably 10 out. I train an athlete every once in a while, pretty much, and that's kind of that. Yeah, okay, that's true. That would be rare. That's pretty much. That's true. That would be a rarity. But yeah, that's what I'm saying though. If you want to talk people who have massive body issues, why do you think physique competitors? That's right issues there on the list. Right, and why do you think they have massive issues with the way they look? They aren't happy with anything. They're critiquing constantly. Yeah. Does it make them critiquing not off health, not off fitness, not off performance? They're critiquing off purely the way that they look. 100%. And that's and like I said, dude, you think you're alone in that? I think every damn guy in the gym does. Yeah. I just think it's interesting. Well, that you didn't say you were alone, but that when I was unhealthy, because I used to smoke and drink excessively and things like that, but when I was unhealthy, I had better physical body image, right, than I do now. Right, and I believe that, which is weird, which is wrong. But that's what I'm saying. Okay, like I said, when you said you wanted to talk about this, I was kind of iffy on if it was a good topic, but I knew that this would be a good topic because of these reasons. Yeah, and the reality is here's the biggest thing about body image. Okay, people have a look in their mind that's important. Okay, it may have been superimposed by the media. It may be in. Let's take some more of your stuff. Magazines. Let's talk runway models. Okay, do I find runway models even slightly appealing? No. Okay, that's how I look at it. I'm not hacking on them.
But I don't. Their body image, male or female, I don't like how they look. I think they're way too thin. I think they're undernourished when you look at them. That's a perspective. But the reality is that it's all based on the person's image on what they like. Somebody may think a runway model is the most attractive thing on the planet. I personally do not.
Yeah, but I think stuff like that comes back to what you had said about there being this instinctive, was it Gregarious?
Yeah.
Nature of us seeking acceptance.
Yes.
And things that it's everything that we determine about our world around us is based off input. Mm-hmm. So with all this social media and regular media and internet and phones and advertisements and television, all these things that are input into our into our minds are changing the way that we view certain things. And so a girl can grow up and think, in order to be accepted, I have to look like a unhealthy Victoria's Secret model.
Let's go on beyond that and step back to Barbie. Because Barbie is a great representation. You look at,
in fact, didn't they change the proportions of Barbie?
They did
recently because of that.
Yes, well, it's not like they made them a crap load better, but yes, that was in the.
They gave her these long, slender legs, these large breasts, and all these very thin arms. And
Luke Skywalker in the 1970s was a thin character.
Yeah,
representatively. Okay, and then you can see this on that show by. Chris.
Not the Prescription Thugs.
No,
but
the
other
one.
Yeah, the
bigger, stronger,
bigger, faster, stronger.
Bigger, faster, stronger. You can see because they actually show a guy and he actually holds him up, Luke Skywalker, and he says looks like he's on steroids. He didn't look like he was on steroids. He looked like he worked out. Mm-hmm. Okay, so
they completely changed the way
dynamics of the look because of they were changing it for the attention of the people, and they were skewing the perspective of people. Okay. Runway models is the same thing. I mean, you brought up people in the social media world, and I'll talk directly without throwing out company names because they're getting squashed right now. But when they're going in and they're photoshopping their pictures, okay, and they're changing them to make themselves look in a different light, so they look quote unquote better to people. And they don't look bad in the first place. That's because people have a massive problem with this body image thing. Yeah. And on top of that, when they manipulate it, they cause a bigger problem in the world because people are like, well, how do I look like that? And they can't. They physically can't.
There's plenty of example videos on YouTube and the internet and other realms that show you when they take. It doesn't even have to be a fitness model, but oftentimes there are some. They take the original model. And they start cleaning her up or him up and doing all the makeup and doing all the lighting. And then they do the hair change and all that stuff. And then they take all their shots, and then they take those shots that have already been manipulated by light and by makeup and
they modify it with
and then they give that to a graphic artist, and then or whomever, and then they start tweaking, and they adjust their eye to nose ratio.
Did you put that on the forum?
I put something like that.
Yeah,
the Dove one.
I thought you did.
Dove does some pretty cool PSAs about that, but. Pretty much, we've created this distortion of body image to something that people can not physically attain,
right?
Because of the distortions we used with lighting and photoshopping and makeup, which are not tied to our bodies at all. So someone can try as hard as they can. I can try as hard as I can to get this six-pack that I have this subconscious idea of what is ideal for a six-pack, and I can never attain it because it's not real. Right. It is doctored and manufactured, and that's Don't tell me that on the front of certain magazine covers that those photos aren't edited.
They're always doctored.
Why do you think Instagram has filters? Because it makes images look better.
Yep.
I've used filters. Yep. I often try not to, but I've done it before.
Well, dude, taking a picture is a filter.
So it's a distortion.
It automatically has a filter because the nature of a photograph itself.
That's true.
Filtered.
You look in two different mirrors. Mirrors, the way that the glass is formed.
Exactly right. You can't help but use filters. I mean, let's be fair to it. Trying to make yourself look in a better light, I'm not going to butcher that, but the problem is when they start to do these modifications. I mean, let's take, again, Chris Bell's a movie, Bigger, Faster, Stronger. Is it that one?
That's the one.
Anyway.
No, you're thinking of Mike Matthews, but Bigger, Faster, Stronger is the movie, I believe.
Yeah, Bigger, Leaner, Stronger is the book by Mike Matthews. But anyhow, he in that movie, they photoshopped him. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
They took him within, a half an hour. They took before and after pictures. They darkened his skin.
Yeah.
because they did spray tan. Mm-hmm. They then went in and they modified it and they gave him abs, and they did all this stuff in photo editing. All this stuff on body imaging, like I said, the problem I've got with all this crap is the fact that, number one, our marketing is becoming so stinking, in my opinion, illegal that it needs to be watched a little bit, and they should be by us as consumers, not by a government, but by us. We should be coming down on this stuff and saying, you guys need to stop being ridiculous. Instagram right now is going through that, and they're under massive attack because they'll show the before and afters because they've gotten a hold of them, and they'll throw them out there. And
that particular company
yes,
that you're talking about?
Yes,
yeah.
And they've thrown them out in mass on all these different people because they're not realistic. And they're changing them in big ways. And now the joke is they're like making guys huge and small. And I mean, just normal guys. They're just throwing their stuff up and tweaking them. And they're saying, look, doesn't this look better?
Yeah. Well, and what's wrong about that is they're using that to sell a specific product, which was supplements.
Yes.
And it's implied that if you buy this, you will look like this. That. It doesn't even necessarily state that, but that is what the psychological implication is.
Absolutely.
Oh, that guy takes this, so if I take this, it's gonna make me look like him.
Right, for sure.
And one, that's not going to happen even if they hadn't photoshopped it necessarily, because they're completely different body types and genetic profiles. But, I mean, every once in a while there might be someone that would be an adequate match for that. But then you distort it with Photoshop even further, which is unnecessary.
Right, and that's the killer.
They'd still sell products, even if the photos weren't doctored, to be honest.
Yep, for sure.
Because those athletes, quote unquote, that they were using,
didn't look bad anyway.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's
what. But we feel this need to doctor and oversell these types of pictures because we have this distorted perception of what is sexy.
Yeah.
And at least from a male's perspective, when it comes to looking at what's attractive in women, there was I can't remember who it was, but there was an interview that I was listening to that was she was some head person in the fashion industry. I don't know if it was like a fashion magazine or runway or what, but she was a head person, and she said men aren't responsible entirely for the distorted perspective of what is sexy in women. She says it's us. It's women doing it to women in the fashion industry because, like you said, you're not attracted to runway models.
That's true.
So why would you be influencing that and promoting that type of body image for women if you're not attracted to it?
Right.
I'm attracted to really muscular women. Like probably above average muscularity in women. I'm attracted to that. I'm not attracted to very thin, underweight runway type body types. Now, again, I'm not going to discriminate against that, but it's a body image issue that's been created by an industry. And what's sad about it is that because there's been a lot of talk about how men discriminate against women, and that there is those cases, obviously.
Of course.
And I'm obviously a little biased because I'm talking from a male perspective.
But it goes from both sides, though. It happens both ways.
But it's sad that there's an industry that's been developed by women that create an unhealthy, in my opinion, body image of women that seduces young girls and even adult women into this distorted perception of what's healthy and sexy.
Right.
And that's sad. I really feel sad about that.
See, and I think this is actually leaning in, because I only got 2 seconds to look at that. This is actually leaning really well into what you were going to cover.
The Hayes method?
Yeah, because I think that, at least from what I was seeing of it, that kind of rectifies it. My point is, I guess, before we get to that, because, I mean, we're going to go long on this one too, but the thing with this all is we need to find out who we are as individuals, realize that individuals are great in and of themselves. I don't care what color they are. I don't care what sex they are. I don't care if they're human or Martian. The reality is as individuals, we bring certain things that are individual to us. Our fingerprints are not copied by anybody else. Neither are we as people. And so when we're trying to look at all these other things, it's not. I mean, I'm not going to say it's not healthy to lean towards being the best you can be, because that is. The reality, because you should. I mean, we both believe in fitness. We both think you should be in lifting weights. We both think that going to the gym, at least 3 times a week is a good idea. I'm not going to even sidestep that. I'm going to say that's part of this, but because you want to be the best you can be. But realize that what you are is good. I mean, if you're overweight and you're a good person, how is that a bad deal? That's a good thing. If you're underweight and you're a good person, how is that a bad thing? That's good. If you're in great shape and you're a good person, that's a good thing too. That's like I said, body imaging is so personal.
One thing to note too is fitness is not one singular thing.
Right, that's true too.
Fitness is completely relevant or relative to the individual and their pursuit. For example, a power lifter, a competitive power lifter, would be considered clinically obese, the average power lifter. They're the strongest people on the earth, and in many ways they are more fit than everyone else. A football player, same thing. A ultra marathon runner, completely different body type, super fit in a completely different part. Not even on a spectrum. It's way more vast than that. And martial artist versus bodybuilder, like all these different facets. All these different facets. That's the word I was looking for. Facets of fitness are what determine that, and they all cater to different body types. You know, just because you have a certain genetic profile to be heavy or to be underweight, your what would be ideal, quote unquote, fitness for you might be something that's totally different. And just because you have a specific body type doesn't also limit you to those categories. You can, branch out into those other categories of fitness in order to try to be healthier. It's not like you are confined to that either. But what the Hayes method is it's HAES, and it stands for healthy at every size. And what this is based off of is actual research that shows that just because a person is overweight does not necessarily mean they're unhealthy. And there's various health markers that they use, because I've seen this in personal training. There's plenty of normal weight or underweight individuals who are dramatically less healthy than someone who I know who is clinically obese. I have trained a client who is clinically obese based off of weight.
Well, vice versa, I'm sure too.
But who is in a healthy body fat percentage. I've also trained people who are in unhealthy body fat percentages that are stronger, have better cholesterol, have better range of motion and mobility than other clients that are in normal weight ranges. So healthy at every size basically means you need to understand that you are yourself. You can't change things about your genetics. There's no one singular ideal health, fitness, or beauty. And you need to understand how to, I think, if it's important to you.
Maximize is a great word.
And that's if it's important to you, to maximize your health. Because here's the thing is, we can think about this. We can propagate about health all the time, but it's a person's choice to be healthy.
And I agree with that. And I'm going to tell you, though, when you're talking fitness and you're talking health, okay, because we're getting close to the point where we should probably step off of this.
We can touch a couple more of these.
Well, no, we're not leaving until we're done, but I'm just saying we're getting closer to the end. But this is saying this, fitness is not about weights only, okay?
Yeah.
True fitness is a mental state. True health is a mental and physical state. It's not just a physical state. If you are not healthy mentally, you are not healthy. If you are not fit mentally, you are not fit.
Yeah, and I think that's summed up in the term wellness. I think because that's being used a lot.
I agree with that.
And I do agree with that term in certain contexts, that wellness is the right balance of mental, psychological, emotional, physical health, other aspects of health.
Right.
So even social, we could talk about this.
For sure. Social,
the whole spectrum.
Holy crap.
Work-life balance.
Like crazy
that's a part of health.
Which I'm terrible at.
But
we can go into that and completely butcher me on that one.
Yeah. We've pretty much covered all these main topics. I think it's just important for people to realize that the expectations that are placed on you by family, by spouse, by the media, by friends, by magazines, by social media, by coworkers, by the fitness industry, all these different by the government, all these different contributing factors, they're all influences on you, and you do not necessarily have to adopt their dogma about what sexy, healthy, and fit is. You need to look at your own body and accept yourself, and if you want to be healthy, just try to be the healthiest you possible. That's pretty much what sums it up.
Yeah, I like that. In fact, I want to do my summation real quick too, and I want to say, have thick skin. That's part of being healthy.
True, confidence.
Confidence in oneself is immense. So if somebody says something derogatory, who cares? Their opinion is meaningless in your mind unless you allow it to be. That being said, accept other people for them being themselves too. That's why you got to have a thick skin. Because if you don't have a thick skin, you can't accept them either. Thin-skinned people are always on edge about everything. And that, like I said, that's one of the biggest things that bugs me about society. But be fit mentally, do mental exercises. I'm not saying you should play chess every day, but if you get a chance to play chess and you want to play chess. I'm not, if you want to play checkers, if you want to do Sudoku, if you want to do crossword puzzles, do stuff mentally all the time too. If you're physically fit, the odds are you're going to have a more physically fit neurological system as well, but it doesn't make your neurological system run optimally either. You've got to make yourself a whole person. Fitness is whole body. And part of that is spiritual, part of that is mental, part of that is physical. And so if you aren't doing that, you're not physically going down a fitness path, if that makes sense. And I think we as a group should accept someone who's overweight. We as a group should accept someone who's underweight. We should accept everybody that we can and help them move forward with their goals. Because my goal is not Taylor's goal. His goal is not my goal. My wife, she doesn't have the same goals that I do when it comes to her physical look. If she did, she would do certain things, and if I had a different direction, I would do certain things. If I wanted to be what Taylor's, I would do what he's doing more. I would go down the same kinds of path as the direction I want to go. We've got to find our own image base that we're trying to go with and decide this is a good direction for me to go and make ourselves the best that we can be in that. And that's all I'm trying to say in all this. But I think we need to have a thicker skin for everybody else too. And on that, I'll just back out and let him finish this out.
No, I think that's right on point. Pretty much, people, we just want you to know we love you, we care about you. That's why we're doing this. We want to help, and we want to help you understand these different influences and these different concepts, and then also just help teach you about how to be properly, how to exercise properly and eat well and things like that. But we just see, and the motivation for doing this podcast, we just see that the fitness industry is doing the opposite of what it's defined or what it should be doing or what it was originally established to do, which is help people become more fit. And we see people becoming less healthy, right, both physically and mentally, due to the exploitation of consumer ignorance in this realm. And so we want to help you guys to be the best you that you possibly can. And we want you to recognize that these outside influences can contribute to the unhealthy self-image and body image.
Yep.
So, anyway, we love you guys. Anything else, Shane?
Keep on keeping on.
Okay, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you. Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. Shane and I hope you learned something new and exciting today about your own health and fitness. Head over to metabolicradio.com. There you'll find our bios and our results-driven programs that are designed to help teach you everything you need to know when it comes to getting real permanent results. You can also sign up for our newsletter to get free weekly updates. To chat with Shane or I, just email us at taylor@metabolicradio.com or shane@metabolicradio.com. We would love to hear from you. You can also join the conversation on Facebook. Just go to facebook.com and search for Metabolic Radio Private Forum. There you can request to join the group. We would love to add you to the conversation and answer your questions on the show. And hey, if you like our podcast, please help us grow our community by leaving us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes. We would really appreciate your help. Thanks again so much for all your support and your listenership. Now go out there and spread the good word of fitness.